You know, for small rivers, this is as much fun as you could possibly have catching these chunkers.
The river fish are way ahead of the lake fish.
Fine-tuned cranking is the key to catching big walleyes in current.
Vertical jigging for walleyes.
We're just flatline trolling.
Little boot tail here.
The Detroit River is treating us well.
This is what you want.
Welcome to Angling Buzz presented by Fleet Farm. I'm Troy Linder. Well, it's late June, and right now it's prime time for river fishing across the upper Midwest for a variety of different reasons. Number one would be the low, stable flows of the rivers. Most of the rivers are also running fairly clear. Number two is it puts fish in fairly identifiable areas in the river. And this time of year, and most of the time of the year, you know, current is king. And my favorite fish to target would be smallmouth bass, especially on topwater and across flats. It's very visual and very explosive action. Today's guest is Captain Ben Wolfe of Sportfish, Michigan, who fishes for a lot of different species of fish in the rivers over there. Ben, what are some aspects of river fishing this time of year that you can share with us?
You know, Troy, I'm with you on the smallmouth on topwater. That's just one of the most explosive and fun, addictive things to do. Just one of my favorites for sure. You know, for us, one of the most important aspects of river fishing actually is why. Why are they there? You know, understanding, are they a migratory species, you know, like some of our salmon and steelhead, or walleyes that are coming in out of the main lakes to spawn in the rivers, or are they residents year-round? You know, understanding why they're there really will help pinpoint where to fish them, because that makes them more predictable in terms of where they're going and why they're going there. If they're there, for instance, only to spawn, they're going to use a river differently than if they're there as a resident, you know. So a walleye or a salmon or steelhead that come in there to spawn, they're going to maybe feed in very short windows, or if at all. In the case of a salmon, their digestive tract is actually shut down, so they're not feeding at all. And when we fish for those, it's a provocation strike. But for something like a walleye or a steelhead, they do feed, but maybe in shorter windows. Now, in contrast, you know, a resident fish, they tend to be more aggressive because they have to fight the current, and they're expending a lot more energy. And as anglers, you know, that current, you know, really makes them more predictable, gives them into that feed or starve mentality, which is great for us as anglers to try and target them. You know, aggressive fish, who doesn't like them?
Yes, and I know you fish for a lot of different fish out there in the rivers. We're talking salmon, trout, walleye, bass, even catfish. Ben, what can you tell us about current and how fish are positioned in the current and where they feed?
You know, that's a great question, and understanding current is key. Fish will utilize different parts of the river and different characteristics of a river at different times based on whether they're active in feeding or whether they're inactive, or, you know, water temperature as well. You know, things like deep pools, river bends, eddies, a seam in a river, those are all critical aspects of things that fish will utilize. Right now, I would focus on the flats, because those shallower flats are going to have more oxygen. That oxygen in turn is going to have more life and more feeding opportunities for those fish. So when they're active, they're going to get up onto those flats and just kind of cruise around and roam looking for fish.
And what exact types of spots and cover are you looking for?
Well, you know, different species utilize cover differently, but in general, you know, things like log jams, deep pools, you know, those feeding lanes, seams, and those shallower flats that we talked about are all going to be critical areas. Active fish in general tend to be on top of a break or on top of the flats, in front of a log jam or a boulder, and the inactive fish are going to be behind those things. And that's really critical to look for those active fish in those areas before you start looking in the inactive fish behind those current breaks.
Oh boy, that's a
That
storm.
sounded good.
And you know, another aspect of river fishing that is so exciting is the visual aspect. You know, not only can we oftentimes see the strikes and see fish following, and that's always exciting, but oftentimes, you know, when we're looking for those current breaks and those other types of covers and areas that those fish are going to be feeding in, you know, that's visual as well, and being able to understand where to cast. You know, for instance, in a river system, typically we want to cast upstream or sideways to the boat or the bank, and let the current kind of sweep that presentation down naturally. That's how those fish are going to be, you know, feeding. They're always going to be facing into the current, and you know, bringing a bait in front of them so that they can see it coming at them, that's going to be much more natural than coming up from behind them.
Well, that's a lot of great information about river fishing. I saw that video you did with my cousin James last fall, fishing and catching giant flathead catfish. That looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, what those a riot, absolutely.
That's a fish.
And the size of those things really gets your attention, as well as the blood pumping, for sure. You know, we have here in Michigan such fantastic river options all across the state. We really do, and for a huge variety of species, we're really blessed that way.
Now that's what I call a beast.
And you know, in the next couple of months, we're looking forward to king salmon and coho salmon staging outside the river mouths, and you know, we'll push up into the rivers, and there's some more exciting opportunities right there.
Thanks, Ben. When we come back after this short break, we have more hot river fishing opportunities across the upper Midwest as Angling Buzz continues.
Want to learn how to catch more and bigger fish? Well, we've got the place for you. Introducing the Fish Head Video Library. Now you can enjoy hour after hour of educational videos right on your phone, tablet, laptop, desktop, or even stream videos right to your TV. Largemouth, smallmouth, walleye, catfish, muskie, pike and panfish, open water or on the ice. Check out Fish Head TV to rent, buy, or become a Fish Head member today.
Customer first. That's their mission at Dondelinger Auto. It's not just about the sale. It's about giving you peace of mind for as long as you own that vehicle. Dondelinger is home to the lifetime powertrain warranty for new and pre-owned vehicles, plus 10 years of roadside assistance. They have an incredible variety of the most popular vehicles and offer pickup and drop-off for service. Stop in to experience the Dondelinger difference today.
Sportfish Michigan is your #1 source for top charter captains and fishing guides in Michigan. Our network of professionals are full-time anglers with years of experience providing customers with the best possible fishing trip services. Fish for trout, salmon, steelhead on Lake Michigan or its famous tributary rivers, the Traverse City area's world-class smallmouth bass, walleye fishing on the Detroit River and Saginaw Bay, or northern Michigan's spectacular ice fishing. We do it all. Sportfish Michigan. Get out. Get bit.
Lake Vermilion. Explore. Relax. Reconnect.
Minnesota's most beautiful lake.
Get hooked on our trophy walleye,
That's a beauty.
bass,
My favorite fish.
musky fish.
That's a beauty there.
Things to do? You'll never get bored.
Rooms with a view? We got 'em.
Lake Vermilion. 4 seasons of fun.
Marine Pro, new from the makers of Seafoam Motor Treatment. Marine Pro is a complete marine fuel system treatment for all types of marine engines. Just pour it in. When added to boat fuel, Marine Pro works to clean and lubricate critical engine areas, stabilize stored fuel up to 2 years, and help protect the entire fuel system from bad fuel and corrosion. Help your marine engine run smoother and last longer with Seafoam Marine Pro. Available now at Fleet Farm.
Welcome back to Angling Buzz. And coming up next, we have our Timely Topics feature. We're heading over to Michigan, where we join James Lindner and Chad Diltz for some seasonal river fishing options.
Well, we've had actually a pretty good morning. We had, what did we have? 1 king, a really nice fat brown, couple of coho. It's been a really nice morning. Right now I'm fishing with Chad Diltz with Sportsfish Michigan. And what Chad does is targets a lot of their stream fishing for cold water species. And he's going to give us a little rundown on what those guys do throughout the course of the season.
As far as our cold water species season goes, you know, we're here in November and then we lead into, you know, December and late season steelhead, great trout fishing for both the conventional gear angler and the fly angler. And then once we're done with ice, just about time ice is out, we're ready to get after the steelhead for the spring run, you know. Whatever fish have held over and whatever fish are coming in for the spring run. And that's in, you know, February, March, and April's really a bang up month for everybody around here to target steelhead, both for guides to guide and, you know, bank anglers and other people that are just fun fishing in boats to take advantage of good fishing, so. We do target the salmon species, the king salmon and the coho salmon, all through August and September. You know, once things start winding down on the big lake. We do cater to whoever would like to fish for, you know, the resident trout population, both in May and June and even in July. But you know, we spend a lot of time out on the lakes chasing bass that time of the year. But we do like to let people know that we do have guides in our area that can offer both fly and conventional gear guide trips for those trout, both in, you know, June and July. We have some great river systems, you know, some small tributaries and some even bigger, faster moving, cooler ones. You know, if you want to guide on foot, if you wanted a guided trip on foot, or if you'd like to go in a drift boat, we can also cater to those people as well.
The last time I was in Michigan was fishing the Detroit River for big smallmouth bass. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait to get back there. Hey, we have a short commercial break. When we come back, we have our Buzz Bite reports. Stay with us.
Like many of you, I've had back issues.
From the pounding waves of Lake Erie to over 30 years of competitive angling.
And a lifetime on the water, but not anymore.
Smooth Moves changed the game. It's a must-have for me and my clients.
It's like my boat is floating on air.
They're easy to install. Fully adjustable.
It makes a day on the water a whole lot more comfortable.
Smooth your ride with Smooth Moves.
Because boaters know and follow Minnesota's aquatic invasive species laws, 98% of lakes are not known to have any zebra mussels. 95% are not known to have any kind of invasive animals or plants. Let's keep it this way. Clean aquatic plants and animals from boats, trailers, and equipment. Drain all water from watercraft, including the motor, and keep drain plugs out during transport. Dispose of unused bait properly. Together, we're preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species in Minnesota.
You can't choose the weather, but you can choose outerwear that works. Technical apparel, rain gear, soft shells, sunwear, when you need to stay comfortable all day, choose Blackfish, because you can't choose the weather.
Welcome back to Angling Buzz. For our first report, we're going to check in with the Leisure Outdoors guys on Leech Lake.
Hey, Toby Cavalivog standing here on beautiful Leech Lake, getting ready to go do a guide trip this morning out of Chasing the Lake. Walleye fishing's been fantastic. There's a lot of walleyes out here, and they're biting on spinners and night crawlers on the edges of rocks on the main lake and up into Portage Bay and Sucker Bay as well. Spinners seem to be a good overall tactic for covering water and going from fish to fish to fish and trying to find that hungry one that'll bite. Once you find a school, a bobber and a leech seems to be working real well right now. And of course, your artificial baits are working too. Real aggressive tactics like a jigging wrap or or even jigs and plastics are working well too. You know, the shiner bite is still there in places, but it's really not worth the hassle of keeping those shiner minnows alive and spending the money on those. So for us, it's been bobbers and leeches, lindy rigs, crawlers and leeches, spinners and night crawlers, and just covering water. The fishing's about to get fantastic, including the muskie action. So that's it for this report.
Thanks, Toby. Now let's head up to Lake Vermilion with Billy Rosner.
Hey, up here at Lake Vermilion, we're getting some nice walleyes. Lake Vermilion's kind of known for its big fish, but we have plenty of these nice eating size fish too. Starting to set up in our summertime patterns now with these warmer water temperatures. Weed edges, really think transition and pay attention to your electronics. You know, get out early, you know, daybreak to 8, 9 o'clock, chase those walleyes and maybe switch over and do some pike and bass fishing. And then in the evening, again, the last 2 hours is the magic time on Vermilion. Catching some nice northern pike also. They're in on your deeper weed edges, that's 6 to 8 feet. Look for that nice healthy cabbage. Throw some spinner baits, swim baits, that'll get you bit. Bass too are just off that first break now. Top waters are working, swim baits, fish some small crankbaits, and you'll get into some good bass action.
Now let's hop in the boat with Jeff Evans in Wisconsin.
Things are really heating up in northwest Wisconsin. In the Hayward Lakes area, we're seeing water temperatures in the high 60s, even low 70s on some lakes. We've had a lot of bug hatches lately, and walleyes are transitioning into summertime patterns. We're catching fish on rock reefs in anywhere from 20 to 25 feet of water, or off of deep weed edges in 15 to 20 feet of water. Troll and crawler harnesses has been effective, and we're also catching fish on slip bobbers and leeches. There's a lot of smallmouth bass that are still in less than 10 feet of water, and we've had some amazing topwater bites lately. Out on Chequamegon Bay, the smallmouth bass bite has still been good. We're catching a lot of fish in anywhere from 5 to 7 feet of water. Again, topwaters have been effective, and the walleye bite on Lake Superior is really starting to get going. Water temperatures are warming up, and we're starting to see good catches of fish, trolling crankbaits in anywhere from 15 to 20 feet of water.
Last up, let's check in with Captain Ben Wolfe in Michigan.
You know, all across the state, we've got a big mayfly hatch going on. Lake St. Clair, Lake Erie, all the inland lakes, and even up in the northern Michigan, we've got these hexagenia. These are the granddaddies of all the mayflies, and so many species really key in on this as a protein source for them. It's a critical food component, you know, in terms of their growth, and a lot of these fish are really keying in on these bugs. You know, walleyes, perch, brown trout, rainbow trout, smallmouth bass. You know, most of these species that we have are really going to key in on these bugs. Blade baits, you know, that are gold colored, or a curly tail grub, or topwaters. Those are all great options now to imitate these mayflies that are hatching out of the substrate and coming up onto the surface. It can be a little challenging at times, but still well worth going, especially for those you know, trout anglers that are looking forward to this big hex hatch all year long. It's going to be the 4th of July weekend, so it'll probably be busy out on the water, but have fun, be safe, and enjoy yourself.
Thanks, Ben. Now don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we have cool products and the technique of the week as Angling Buzz continues.
Looking for the perfect fishing vacation? Leech Lake, Minnesota. There's over 112,000 acres of water to explore, with fantastic walleye, bass, pike, panfish, and trophy muskies. The fishing opportunities are endless. Leech Lake has it all, with over 30 resorts, lodges, campgrounds, and hotels line its pristine shores. Plan your trip. It's Minnesota's original up-north vacation destination.
Some lodges are just a cut above. Hawk Lake is one of those. They're the only Orvis-endorsed lodge in all of Ontario, and they're the 4-time finalists for the best Orvis lodge in all of North America. They feature cordon bleu trained chefs and offer some of the best freshwater fishing in the world. You can target trophy walleye, smallmouth bass, pike and lake trout on any of their 19 private lakes. Whether you fish with traditional gear or love fly fishing, Hawk Lake has you covered.
On the lake, in the woods, or on the ice, keep powered up with Bold North Outdoors portable power stations. Our rugged multi-service power station is marine grade, weatherproof, and powered by long-lasting lithium phosphate batteries. Charge cell phones, tablets, and GoPros, or power fans, lights, fish finders, underwater cameras, and more. Recharge anywhere with our solar panel charger. Wherever your adventure takes you, you'll have current and be connected with Bold North portable power stations.
From the kennel to the coop, whatever the season, Fleet Farm has everything to keep your animals happy and healthy. Whether it's keeping the backyard birds well-fed season, mastering those retrieval skills season, or wondering who takes care of who season. There's a reason people say if Fleet Farm doesn't have it, you don't need it, because we have it all. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
Now it's time for cool products brought to you by Fleet Farm. Now today we're talking all about catching fish in rivers, so we got a bunch of products right here that'll help you do just that. First things first, let's bust out the jigs. This one right here, the Northland Current Cutter jig, is designed specifically for fishing in current. It has a unique head shape, as you can see right here. But additionally, you also see that it has a bait keeper. So if you have to fish a little bit more erratically, that'll keep your minnows, your worms, your plastics on the bait. Another great option for fishing in rivers is the Clam Drop TG tungsten jig. Now tungsten is extremely dense compared to lead. So essentially what that means is you have more weight in a smaller package. This is a great option whether you're fishing live bait or plastic. Now what are you gonna put on these jigs? You know, a lot of people like to use live bait, and there's a good reason for that. Live bait catches fish, but sometimes plastic works just as good. This one right here, the Northland Impulse Swimming Grub, is a great option. And now if you're fishing in a lake situation, you might want natural green pumpkin, etc. But bright oranges, chartreuses, and greens can be excellent for fishing in rivers. Now next up right here, we have the Blue Fox Vibrax inline spinner. Once again, we talked about colors. Bright colors really excel in river fishing situations. Right here you got pink and you got some silver flash, and sometimes fish just cannot resist the blades. Now next up on the list, right here, we have the original floating Rapala. Now there's a lot of different ways you can fish this. You can troll it behind the boat, you can cast it out, you can fish it in the middle of the water column, you can fish it up in the top of the water column like a wake bait, or you could rig it up to a three-way rig and fish it down in deep holes if you're fishing in the rivers. So the fish just cannot resist this minnow profile. Now we talked a little bit about using plastics, but obviously live bait catches fish too. And one of the biggest keys to catching fish with live bait is keeping the bait healthy and lively. If you have some bait in here that you want to keep separate from maybe your catch or maybe some different minnows, you can pop it in the bait caddy, throw it in the live well, and you have bait that's separated from everything else in your live well. Additionally, you can put a rope on it, throw it off the side of the boat, and that'll keep your bait fresh as well. Now one tool that's always nice to have in the boat is a cutting board. Now this one right here is the Rapala folding fillet board with a clamp. And what's nice about this for river fishing situations, sometimes you're fishing with cut bait, whether you're fishing for catfish or other species, it's nice to have this thing stowed away inside your boat. As you can see, it folds up and can fit into a nice small place. And you just pull the clamp up like this, and you have a cutting board for cut bait, or if you need to cut up a fish in a tight situation if you need to fillet. Now next up, let's cover down on a little bit of tackle storage. Now this one right here from Plano, the Series B tackle box, is a really good option for river fishing for a couple of reasons. Now first off, it's waterproof, so if it starts to rain on you, that'll keep your tackle dry. But this, as you can see, is not a huge box. So you can actually fit quite a bit of gear in here, but it's not gonna take up a bunch of room if you happen to hop in one of your buddy's boats. And additionally, this is a good size if you're fishing from shore, which is another common way to fish rivers. So that's just an all-around good bag for river fishing. Now one nice thing about fishing in rivers, especially small rivers, is that you can hide from the wind, which can really help with boat control. But if it's a hot day, that can be a little bit of a double-edged sword because it can get really hot if there's no wind, especially if you're not able to escape into the shade. And to me, that's where it pays to have a sun shirt, like this one right here, the Blackfish Guide Series sun shirt. But what this shirt has right here is chemical-free cooling technology. You're not getting burnt, you're staying nice and cool on a hot, sunny day. Now, if you're looking for a new rod-reel combo for your river fishing situations, this one right here, the Lew's Mock Smash combo, would be a good choice. Now, this particular rod is 7 foot long with medium power and fast action. That's just a good all-around make for river fishing, and it's paired up with a 300 size reel, good drag. This thing has everything you need to fish in rivers. Now, one last thing that you're gonna always wanna keep in your boat or possibly in your truck is some Seafoam Deep Creep. Now, this is penetrating oil and lubricant solution. So there's a lot of different reasons why you might want to use this. It's really good if you have, like, say, a net that's sticking, or maybe your boat seat pedestal is stuck, or maybe your pliers are rusty and they could use a little lubricating. So the list goes on and on. You might have trailer issues. There's a lot of different reasons why you might need some lubricant like this, and the penetrating oil can actually help deal with a lot of the rust issues that you have on some of your gear. Now, all the products that we just talked about right here are available at your local Fleet Farm store or fleetfarm.com. Now, coming up next, we have the technique of the week.
You know, all over North America, river fishing can be absolutely phenomenal, especially for smallmouth bass. Smallmouth bass love fast-moving water. Rivers, creeks, anything that has moving water, and many smaller rivers have tons of smallmouth, you know, and it's all relative. The smaller the river, you can go catch 50, 100 smallmouth in a day in some bodies of water, wading and going through, and a 3-pounder in a small system is a big fish. You get in a bigger river like we're on now, we get a shot of 5-pounders. The rule of thumb is the bigger the river, the more environment, the more big fish. That's pretty typical. But smallmouth love running water. They love it. And you know what else I like about smallmouth fishing in rivers? They bite all year long. It's an easy target. You know, you can always get some good ones.
We had one of the worst winters, or maybe not the worst winter, but the most snowfall in, I don't know, like 15, 16 years or something like that. So we had a lot of water this winter and spring. And what does that do? Just causes rivers to push and flow.
You know, when that water gets really high, like we had this year, like Dan was talking about, if you've had real high water for a long period of time, the fish will migrate toward the sources of current. First they get out of the channel, come in shallow, get in the backwater. Then they keep moving toward the areas of current flow. Big bodies of water like I'm on now, there's a dam not too far up from here. Big populations of the smallmouth bass have moved up here because the water's been running so high so long. Big rivers, if you have smaller rivers dumping into that river, a lot of the smallmouth, like I'm targeting, will move up into those smaller rivers. Smaller rivers like this with little creeks, they'll gather around the mouth of it. So anywhere you've got current coming in, there's fish there. And those fish could be for a half-a-mile area around it. It's like a fish magnet.
Whoa, come on! How in the world? Oh man, that was super fun.
Hey, this is a great time of year for river fishing for about any fish across the upper Midwest. On next week's show, we're going to switch gears to bass fishing today. And we want to help remind you to stop the spread of aquatic invasive species anytime you're leaving any body of water clean, drained, dry. Thank you for joining us this week. I'm Troy Linder, and we'll see you next time.
Want to learn how to catch more and bigger fish like largemouth and smallmouth bass? Or maybe you want to learn how to catch big walleye, monster catfish, or giant panfish all year round? Well, we got the place for you. Introducing the Fish Head Video Library. Now you can enjoy hour after hour of educational videos right on your phone, tablet, laptop, desktop, or even stream videos right to your TV. Is bass fishing your gig? We'll teach you everything you need to know about catching more largemouth and smallmouth bass. Or maybe you want to learn how to catch panfish like crappies and giant bluegills. Yep, we got you covered. After watching our panfish videos, you'll know when, where, and how to catch panfish no matter what the season. Check out Fishhead TV to rent, buy, or become a Fishhead member today.